So I'm just gonna give a short intro and then let's just get started. Okay.
All
So
right, sure.
again, good evening, everyone, for joining today's session. And it's been a long while, community sessions that held, and really appreciate that you guys are here and to be participating in the session. And today's session is in collaboration with Azure Malaysia community, and the leader of the community. Hanishri is not present here. She is not able to present here to be coming into the meeting, but yeah, she'll be in the upcoming sessions as well, joining us. And just want to talk about the community. So if there is if you're from Malaysia and you're looking into learning Azure and more, or participate in the local sessions that happens in Malaysia, please do join Azure Malaysia community so that you can know about their session that they are doing online and offline. So I will also share their WhatsApp group where you can participate and get updates from their community. Okay. And yeah, today's session is on Azure AI Fundamentals. And today we have our guest speaker, Hidaya Bandari. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. And she is an AI engineer, and she is going to take us through the session and what you need to be knowing about Azure AI Fundamentals. Okay. And before we move to the session, I just want to update that there is the recording. You don't need to record it on your side, and we will provide the recording through our YouTube channel. And secondly, there is certificate of participation, which you do not want to miss it. I will share a form link where you can fill out and basically get it. It's completely automated. Just need to fill it out. As long as it's the correct information, you should receive it. Okay, that's all from my side. I hope you guys will learn a lot from the session today. Over to you, Hidaya.
All right. Thank you, Sutesh. Right. I pronounce it rightly.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for the introduction. Hi everyone. Good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to say thank you for joining this event where I will talk about Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Hidayah Badari. Simply put, you can just call me Hidayah. I'm graduated from the National University of Malaysia last year by taking bachelor degree of computer science, majoring in intelligence machine. So without further ado, we will go through to the our main purpose today, which about Microsoft Azure AI fundamentals. All right, so the agenda for our events today is where I'm going to talk about these five main agenda. But since our session today is quite, we have like a limited time, so I will go just roughly to talk about these five agenda. The first one is about the overview of AI concepts. What's actually the terms and definition that AI community usually use so that we get familiar whenever we have a discussion with whether data scientist or ML engineer or AI engineer. And then the responsibilities of AI, challenges and risks when we use AI system. Next is machine learning, where it has a supervised versus unsupervised machine learning, advanced machine learning, which we call as deep learning, and also the Azure services which is Azure ML, Azure Machine Learning in our Microsoft Azure services. And then what are the that Microsoft Azure services offer to us and how we want to use all the services. So these are the like famous terms that usually we will hear. Um, in AI community, they say about artificial intelligence, computer vision, natural language processing, generative AI, Gen AI. What is the meaning itself? So, to simply put, artificial intelligence is a software that imitates human behaviors and capabilities of learning something, of doing something, of speaking. And then machine learning is the foundation for an AI system. The way, how we teach the computer model, to make the predictions and make a conclusions from data that we input inside the computer model. Next is computer vision, capabilities within AI to interpret the word visually, mostly using the graphic, whether using cameras, videos, or images. Natural language processing is a bit different from computer vision. It mostly interpret the written or spoken language and respond. For example, nowadays we listen a lot about speech to text, text to speech, chatbot. Yeah, so that is one of the example for natural language processing. Document intelligence is a AI capabilities within AI that deals with managing, processing, and using like high volumes of data found in the forms of documents. And knowledge mining is we extract the information from the large volumes of unstructured data to create a searchable knowledge store. For example, like Bing Search or Microsoft Edge, they have their own search, AI search in their platform. And then the last one is generative AI, capabilities within AI that create original content in a variety of formats, including natural language, image, code, and many more. For example, ChatGPT is the most famous one, where when we ask a question, they will generate answer without copying any resources. They will make that as a some resources as reference, but make it as their own. And then there are a lot of software that we can use to ask. For example, ask about how to write a code to use TensorFlow frameworks. So the Gen AI system will produce a complete code on how you can copy and paste on your own notebook and try to play around with the code provided by the Gen AI system. Next is responsible of AI principles. There are 6 main AI principles that we need to take note when we want to create the AI system itself. The first one is fairness. AI system should treat everyone equally. There's no discrimination, there's no bias, there's no privilege on anyone. Everyone got treated equally and provide the same recommendations to all individuals. Reliability and safety. AI system must operate reliably, safely, and consistently under various conditions to help with trust within the user and also the developer and also this AI systems itself. Privacy and security. AI systems should respect privacy and maintain security by protecting private and confidential information. Mostly this one is, for example, related to medical information, about patients' information, about um, the uh, number, what do we call? Different number in each in number identification in each country. Yeah, there are the things that need to be um maintain the security. And then next is inclusiveness, should empower and engage everyone no matter what backgrounds themselves. And then transparency, should be transparent and understandable. The user should understand on how AI systems works. For example, for ChatGPT, if you guys notice, there's like a message under below that mention ChatGPT might show inaccurate answer. So need to double check something like that lah. Need to double check whether the answer is accurate or not. So that means that any AI system need to be transparent about how it works, and user need to understand if there is any what do we call, if there is any limitation, if there is anything that the AI system are not capable of doing. Next is accountability. AI systems and their developers should be accountable and answerable on what they produce. Yep. So the challenges and risks to use this AI system, first of all, bias can affect the results. For example, like a loan approval model can be discriminates by gender due to the bias in the data which it was trained. Based on our data, if our data too biased towards a female, then it will give results that not fair enough between male and female. Next is errors may cause harm. For example, autonomous vehicle can have a system failure and can cause a collision, which it can cause a very high damage. So this kind of thing need to be very cautious and need to be very careful, especially for the developers. Data could be exposed. This is the one that I mentioned just now about the security and privacy, where the medical diagnostic trained using a sensitive patient data, which we store it mostly inside the cloud, and high possibility that the data could be exposed to anyone and could be public. Anyone can see all the sensitive data, all the sensitive information, the sensitive data about the patient. And then solutions may not work for everyone. For example, a home automation assistant for nowadays we have Alexa, might provides a audio output for visually impaired users. It mostly audioable, but not, we cannot see what they speak visually. So yeah, that a bit one of the drawbacks of AI system for home automation assistant. Next is users must trust a complex system. AI-based financial tool makes investment recommendations, but we don't know where did it come from, where did it refer to, where is the resources. So this is the one that I mentioned just now about ChatGPT, where you need to double confirm whether the answer is trustable, whether the answer is positive enough for us to take that as our references. Next is who is liable for AI-driven decisions. Whenever something happens, we need to ask, so who is responsible to solve this? So for AI system, it should be the developer itself lah. Whenever something happen, and each of the model, each of the frameworks that we have nowadays have their own license, where we need to go through. First thing first, before we use the model, we need to go through the license, whether what are the things that they cover, what are the things that they don't cover. So that is the reason why whenever you want to use AI model, you need to see the license, whether the person, whenever something happen, can we ask this person to do this developer to be responsible of this error, of this crime. Yeah. Next agenda, we will go to the machine learning. So machine learning use data from past observations to predict unknown outcomes or values. As you can see from the image, machine learning have two different types, which is supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning. Supervised machine learning mostly easy to understand. It's like a table where it has labels, it has content that match with the labels. Unsupervised machine learning is more to data that have unknown labels. So supervised machine learning have two different types: regression and also classification. Regression is numerical values. For example, um, the number of books that will be sold today, the number of ice cream that will be sold today, based on the temperature, based on the humidity, based on the rainfall. And then for the classification, they have two: binary classification and multi-class classification. Mm. Okay, so binary classification is where there are only two possible results: positive or negative, male or female, yes or no. So for example, this binary classification, they have like a features, the results of a patient, what are the blood tests, what are the readings for each of the patients, and then it will show whether this patient have, for example, kidney disease or not. There's only two possibilities: have kidney disease or not. For multi-class classification, it's actually algorithm that can fit training data and calculates probability values for each possible class. That means we have a lot of features to determine um, whether these features represents these labels or not. Okay, later I will explain more on how to differentiate between binary classification and multi-class. Next, for unsupervised machine learning, mostly usually they will use clustering um, to classify, to cluster what are the features that match with the main features. Yeah, for example, these flowers have the same features, these flowers have the same features, these flowers have the same features, but they don't have like a specific labels. We only focus on the features that they mention inside the data. All right. So next is, all right. So this next is deep learning. It's actually an advanced form of machine learning that tries to emulate the way human brain learns. Which human brains, we have electrochemical activity in biology, neurons. We have a lot of neurons in our brain. So that's how deep learning AI try to emulate, try to imitate how our brain works. For example, this one, the penguin have a lot of features. X is the definition of features, different features of the penguin. For example, the length of flippers, the height of the penguin, the length of the bill, the depth of the bill. And then Y is the species of the penguin. What are the species? This the complex neurons that you can see here is represents our neurons, but for deep learning they use some mathematical functions where it will calculate whether these features similar to these features. If yes, then they will go to this, just like how our brain works. If we see a penguin, then we see the features, we see whether these features represents which species. Yeah. So one of the Azure services they offer inside the Microsoft Azure is Azure Machine Learning. As you can see here, that we have um, a lot of details that you can click. If you guys have your machine Microsoft Azure open, you can try to go search the Azure Machine Learning and try to create the resources so that you can have this kind of interface where you can see the data, the jobs, the components, the pipelines. Each of it have their own works. All right, so the features and capabilities of Azure Machine Learning, it's actually very easy because you centralize everything of your data set inside this one interface. So it's very easy for you to manage whenever you want to train or evaluate your model. And then it has like on-demand compute resources where, for example, the GPU or the TPU, the CPU that you want to use, all compute resources have inside the same Azure Machine Learning. You just need to, if you subscribe, then you can use any compute resources that you want suitable for your model training. And then automated ML, easy to run the multiple training jobs when you use the different algorithms and parameters to find the best model that's suitable for our task, for our main purpose. The next one is visual tools to define orchestrated pipelines for processes. As you can see here, that there's a pipeline here where you can create visually how the flow that you want, uh, the flow of words that you want. Integration with common ML frameworks such as TensorFlow, PyTorch. It's a very famous frameworks that we can use. And then built-in support for visualizing and evaluating metrics for responsible AI. For example, this one, you can see here that they produce the confusion matrix for you. So it's easier for you to understand and calculate what is the accuracy, what is the F1 score. Yeah. So this one is determines whether our model is doing their best. I mean, will produce like a good results, good prediction or not. Next one is Azure AI services. What are the things that they can give to us? It's actually the first one is pre-built and ready to use. You don't need to worry because these Azure AI services mostly have trained before, and we just need to call so that we can customize based on our own requirements that we want. For example, our projects wants to use Azure machine learning for training speech to text model. So what are the requirements? If it only the requirements is only same with what the Azure AI offers, then we can use it without any modification. But if there is like a few requirements, like a very specific requirements that we need to add, then these Azure AI services are very easy for you to customize. You can just add your data to the existing models and train the models so that it will learn a new thing and predict based on the requirement that you want. The second one is access through APIs. API is application programming interface where it enables software components to communicate so that it means that when you run your code in a different interface, you can just call the API from the Azure AI and still can use both. So when one side need to be updated, you no need to stop all the all the process. You only need to stop the one that you want to update, while the other is still working perfectly fine. And then the third one is available and secure. Azure AI services are cloud-based and accessed through Azure resources, so that you can you can just search about the services inside the Microsoft Azure, and then it easy to access mostly all of these services once you subscribe to the Microsoft Azure. And then this six responsible AI principles is the one that I mentioned just now. The fairness, security, um, yeah, all the six features, all the six responsible principles is very important for the AI services to help ensure it works ethically and fairly. All right, so how do we create the Azure AI service resources? First of all, you need to subscribe, the one that I mentioned. You need to subscribe the resources. What are the Microsoft AI service that you want to use? And then there are two different types of services. The first one is multi-service, where it's a resource created in Azure portal that provides access to multiple Azure AI services with a single key and endpoint. That means only one key and one endpoint that you need to use to access to all of the Azure AI services. But for the single service, you choose one specific service that you want to use, and then each of the services offer a unique will generate a unique key and unique endpoint for you to use. For example, if you want to use Microsoft Azure AI Vision, then you will have like a specific unique key and endpoint. And if you want to use OpenAI, they have like a unique key and unique endpoint. So each different services you need to call different key and different endpoint to connect with um your code that you write to represents your word. For example, before this I use uh to write my code. I mean to do the interface, uh I use Streamlit. So when I want to represent the database inside the Microsoft Azure, so each different services have their own credentials where we need to insert the key and the endpoint in our Streamlit code. All right. So next is computer vision, which I will explain about the differences of computer vision, facial recognition, and OCR. So computer vision is mostly about image, videos, all about the graphics things. So images in a computer is represents as a pixel arrays from the range of the arrays is 0 to 255. 0 represents a black, 255 represents a white. And within the range is within the range represent the shades of gray. And for example, as you can see here, this array is consists of 7 rows and 7 columns, which representing a pixel values for 7 times 7 pixel image, also known as a resolution. When you write a code, you have like a very different resolution, 1 times 1, 3 times 3, 5 times 5, 7 times 7. It has a different values and it will produce a different resolution of image. So common way to perform like image processing tasks is to apply filters that modify the pixel values of the image to create a visual effect. So as you can see here that the original image is a one banana here, and then the filter image is, you can see there's a line here, you can't even see the details here, only the line, the main line that you can see here. The filter is convolved across the image and it will keep on calculating a new array of values. So it will create this filter image based on the original image. Yeah, you can also use a different filter such as blurring, sharpening, um, change the HSV values. Yeah, but mostly people will use blurring and sharpening to do the image processing. All right, next is ML, machine learning in a computer vision. We have a two, uh, like just now we tried to edit a picture by using a code, but why can't we just use like a image editing software to apply the effects? It's because of the goal of a computer vision is to extract the meaning of the images itself. At least we can take action from the image, and that is where we want to train the ML model to recognize the features based on the images that we have processed. So some of the architectures that are commonly used for ML in computer vision is CNN, convolutional neural networks. It's actually a type of deep learning architecture with which that we have like a lot of neurons. And then this use filters to extract numeric feature maps from image, and then they will feed the features values inside the deep learning model to generate the prediction, the level prediction based on the input. And then the next one is transformers and multimodal models. Transformers is actually a processing models that we have processed huge volumes of data and encoding a language tokens. Transformer is one of the example for NLP models, a type of neural network architecture, which it has enabled the development of sophisticated models for language. Mostly transformer used for text analysis, translation, language generation, mostly about text NLP things. So from this transformer success, the researchers start to consider whether we can do the same approach uh, so that we can have a more effective image data. That's how the researcher create the multimodal model. It's a model that trained using a large volume of caption image with no fixed labels. Yeah. For example, when you want to when you want to labels a lot of images, a lot of fruit images, you just put the image and the captions, and then the multimodal model will predict what are the name of the fruit of these fruits. Yeah. And then yeah, the next one is I will explain in depth about the CNN, convolutional neural network. This one is the example that I showed just now, where we have a lot of fruit images here, and then this they will put these images inside the network, inside the model with a different index. 0 is apple, 1 is banana, 2 is orange. And then after that, they will have layers of filters to use to extract the features from the image. For example, this banana have these features. Orange, the shape of orange is circle, and then apple with a green color. So all of these features will be moved, and then they will have like a dimensional array of features values, and this output will show the result. What is if the input is this image, it will go to the number 0, the label 0, which is an apple. If this is this image as an input, then it will go to this output, which is the number 1 represents a banana. Yep. Next is multimodal models, where it will do an image encoder extracts the features from images based on the pixels values and combines them with text embeddings. That means it will do both works based on the feature image and also based on the text embeddings. So we have like a language encoder to read the text caption, and then the image encoder to read the images. Then from there, it will produce labels of each of the image, whether this is an apple, this is a banana, this is an orange. Next is Azure AI Vision Services. This similar with Azure Machine Learning. They have two different resources that we can use to access the Azure AI Vision Services. The first one is Azure AI Vision itself. You can try to search the Azure AI Vision. It's a specific resource for Azure AI service if we don't want to use any other Azure AI services. But if you want to use like a multiple Azure AI services, including Azure AI Vision, you can use Azure AI services like a very common services, so that you can include a lot of many other Azure AI services, including this Azure AI Vision. So this Azure AI Vision supports a multiple image analysis capabilities. The first one is OCR, optical character recognition, where it will detect the text in images. And then captions and descriptions, it will analyze the image and generate the human readable phrase. For example, from this image, what are the captions, what are the descriptions that you can see from this image. Next is object detection. It will return information like labels, the bounding box coordinates, and then the probabilities, percentage of probabilities, how many percentage this image is accurate to the labels. And then the tagging images, it will suggest a text for an image both based on its content. For example, from this flower image, which is the petal, which is the bloom, which is the, if there is any insect, what color is it. Yeah, so this is the more more specific than the object detection. All right, the next one is face recognition. Um, Face recognition is where we identify the regions of an image that contain a human face. For example, as you can see here, that it will identify which part is your eyes, which part is your nose, which part is your mouth. And then the Azure AI service that offer this detection and analyze faces is Azure AI Vision, just now that I mentioned, and then Azure AI Video Indexer, and the third one is Azure AI Face. So Azure AI Vision offers the face detection and some basic face analysis. For example, it will return the bounding box coordinates around the image, uh, just like the one that you can see here, that it will return the bounding box and also the label here. That is Azure AI Vision offers for you for face detection, face recognition. Azure AI Video Indexer, you can use to detect and identify faces in a video. Here, Video Indexer. Have you, I'm not sure, have you ever go to any shop that have face recognition? Whenever you enter, they will snap your picture, and then there's like a description beside it. What is the gender, female, what is the age around, uh 12 to 20 years old, and then what are the races. Yeah, usually this will use user AI video indexer to identify faces in a video, in a graphic that moving. And then Azure AI Face offers the pre-built algorithms that can detect, recognize, and analyze faces. um it has their own attributes. For example, if this person wear accessories, what are the accessories that they use, whether glasses, mask, or hijab or something. Yeah, and then it will check the blur, how blur the face is, which are the indication that this face is uh can be the main focus of the image, and then the exposure of the image, the head pose, the noise in the image. Yeah, so this one you can use the Azure AI Face. Next is NLP. Most common NLP tasks supported by language models are text analysis, where you will do the extracting key terms and identifying name entities in the text. The second one is sentiment analysis and opinion mining, where you will categorize the text whether it shows a positive or negative comment. The third one is machine translation, which the text is automatically translated from one language to another language. Summarization, you have like a whole paragraph, and then it will make like one paragraph to summarize all the main points of the whole text that you write. And then conversational AI solutions such as bots, digital assistants in which the language model can interpret natural language input and return an appropriate response for you. For example, the Gen AI. Sorry, for example, the ChatGPT. So the first one is text analysis, where we can use the services inside Azure is Azure AI language. It offers you to do the name entity recognition, where you can identify this is a people, this is a place, this is an events. So this feature can be customized to extract the custom categories. You choose what categories you want to identify, what you want to specify inside the name entity recognition, also we call as NER. And then the second one is entity linking, which whenever they found like the entities, they will put a link to any resources that they can found inside the website. For example, when they saw an image of a person standing in a KLCC, so it will show like a an caption. This girl is standing in front of the KLCC. So KLCC, this one entity KLCC will be linked to the resources of where is the KLCC. For example, the Wikipedia, the background of KLCC and everything. So they will put the hyperlink there to identify the entity. And then the next one is personal identifying information detection. This one is to identify sensitive information. For example, the personal health information. And then the language detection, it will identify the language of the text and return a language code. For example, English, the code is EN. Spanish, the code is SPA. Arabic, the code is I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken, ARA. So each of the language have their own code. And then sentiment analysis and opinion mining identifies whether the text is showing a positive or showing a negative result. And then summarization, key phrase extraction, list of the main concept from unstructured text. All right, next is question answering between um, the Azure AI used, Azure AI services. This question answering is used to build a bot applications that can respond to customer queries. Most of the website that you can, most of the services that you can find nowadays, you can see that there's always a chatbot below where you can communicate with the customer service directly, no matter whenever you want, wherever you want. You can just click on the whether it represent as a person or whether it will have a robot image. There's always a chatbot there that you can ask the question, and then they will respond immediately and answer based on your concerns accurately. And the way they interact with us is very humanly way. That means it seems like it's we talk with a human, but it's actually a bot. It's actually a robot. So this one you can easily create inside the Azure services using Azure AI language service. Next is conversational language understanding, where you need to um, be focused on these three main things. For the first one is utterances. It's an example of something end user might say, and which is your application must interpret. The second one is entities, an item to which an utterance refers. And the last one is intents, represents the purpose of the goal the user express their utterances. For example, as you can see here, the intents, so the intents is greetings, and then the utterances is when users say hi. All right. And then the entities is, there's nothing entities here because it's just a simply a greetings, hi. And then for the second example is check weather. The user asks, what is the weather for today? And then this, as you can see here, it mentioned today. So the main purpose of it is they want to know about today. The day, time, it's a today event. If they ask you about the give me the weather forecast, they didn't mention about today, they didn't mention about yesterday or about tomorrow. So they don't have any main purpose or main goal that they want to focus on. So this is a conversational language understanding, which um one of the NLP tasks. And then the next one is speech recognition and synthesis. Just now I mentioned that nowadays we have a lot of applications that use speech to text, text to speech, speech to speech, text to text. So speech recognition takes the spoken word and converts it into a data that can be processed, often by transcribing it into text. Uh, have you ever see any of the customer service whenever you it's actually in the background if you are working as customer service might be you use this kind of applications where when you got a call from the customer and then the customer will say a sentence and then it will pop up in your screen what are the sentence that they use. Even in Microsoft Teams, they do have it. If I'm not mistaken, it's called like a captions, live caption. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's like whenever I speak something, it will convert what are the words that I speak into a text. So this can be recorded video, voice in an audio file or a live audio from a microphone, just like what I'm doing right now. So these services that Azure offer are Azure AI Speech, where it can do speech to text or text to speech. Yeah, so this one you can use for closed caption for recorded or live videos, and then creating a transcript of a phone call or meeting, and automated note dictation because each of us have a different kind of speaking. So sometimes the AI model will read it as a different words from the what I'm saying. So this one is very crucial, but nowadays it becomes improve a lot. The next one is language translation. So Azure AI Translator Service supports text-to-text translation. Language translation, early attempts at machine translation, they apply a literal translation, where literal translation is each word translated to the corresponding word in the target language. That means only we don't have like a variety or wide language that they want to cover. It's on a target, which are the language that they have trained and focus on. So text and then they text translation can be used to translate document from one language to another. You can translate the email communication that come from a foreign governments and convert to your um, own language, and then you can even provide the ability to translate or web pages on the internet. For example, Google, Bing, Edge, they have like this button to change the language. For example, from English to Malay, from English to um, Arabic, from English to Spanish. They have this one button that you can just change the language. Then they improved to the speech translation, where it used to translate between the spoken language, sometimes directly speech to speech translation, and sometimes translating an intermediary text format, speech to text. If you have talked about a foreigner before and used a few applications where you write your own language and then they will generate it's like a Google Translate where you will translate to a different language and then they will produce a voice. Yeah, that is one of the example of speech translation. And then Azure AI services that support translation are Azure AI Translator and Azure AI Speech. So Azure AI Translator service supports the text-to-text translation more than 130 languages. For Azure AI Speech service, it enables speech-to-text and speech-to-speech translation over 90 language. So that means the AI translator only focuses on text-to-text translation, but for Azure AI Speech, they can do both speech-to-text and speech-to-speech translation. The next one is document intelligence, where it will train the recognized data in text, such as layout and key value pairs. The Azure AI document intelligence features are document analysis, pre-built models, and custom models. As you can see, this one is actually the interface, but I think I cropped it unintentionally. So you can see very clear that they have like a layout and the documents here, and they can do the analysis document. All right. So this one is the one that I mentioned just now about Bing, where you can search. Azure AI Search provides the infrastructure and tools to create a search solutions that extract data from various structures, semi-structured and non-structured documents. You can find any, you can search about anything. For example, if you go to Google and then you type a question, then they will have like this one this one space where it will generate answer based on the resources that they found. You don't need to go through each of the link, each of the website from below, uh, from the one that you search. You can just simply read from the answer generated from the AI itself, where it will give you the answers. So for me, I think it quite good because sometimes when I want to do some research or something and I just want to get rough idea on it, on some of the topics, I search on the Google and then they give like one paragraph or few points of what are the meaning of the topics that I want to go through. And it's quite good actually. It gives a very easy to understand answer, and uh, when I try to double check, it's actually valid. The answer is quite valid. So how to create this index Azure inside the Azure portal? This data source is purchase connection information to source data, including credentials. Data source object is used exclusively with indexers. And then index is a physical data structure used for full text search and other queries. Indexer is a configuration object specifying a data source, target index, and optional AI skill set. Skill set is a complete set of instruction for manipulating. It's like a prompt where you give like instruction. How do you want to perform this search service? And then the knowledge store where you store the output from an AI enrichment pipeline in tables and blobs in Azure storage for independent analysis or downstream processing. This one is if you want to create the search service by yourself, these are the things that you need to focus on because index and query are very closely linked. So after we build the index, we can perform the queries. Queries is where we want to um, trigger. We want to trigger the question or we want to trigger the service itself, the the search engine. What are the things that we want to ask? So Azure AI Search queries can be submitted as an HTTP or REST API request with the response coming back as JSON. Mostly whenever we run our models or something, for example, object detection, they will also give a response coming back in a JSON files where it will put quite a lot of information there. For example, the labels, the bounding box, the size, the text extracted. So mostly inside the JSON files, inside a JSON format. And then the last one is generative AI. This is the last agenda that I'm going to talk about, which about Gen AI. As previous, I said that AI is software that imitates human behavior by using machine learning to interact with the environment and execute tasks without explicit directions on what to output. Gen AI is actually a category of capabilities within AI that create the original content. That means they, just like human, whenever we have something, whenever we learn about something, they become our knowledge, and then we will do we will say something based on our experience, we will share something based on our experience, we will write something based on um how we learn from school before, like for example how to write a formal letter. So that are the thing that Gen AI produce. It create their original content based on the resources that they can found, based on the resources that they learned before. So one of the popular example in application is Microsoft Copilot, where you can find in most of the Microsoft products. Microsoft 365, Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft PowerPoint, most of it nowadays have a Copilot where you can um it's actually an AI powered productivity tool designed to enhance your work experience by providing real-time intelligence and assistance. Whenever you want to ask something, whenever you need help, you just open your Copilot inside the Microsoft any of the Microsoft product and ask them anything. For example, if you want to do the PowerPoint, you ask, can you give me an idea on how to do this on how to do uh, this content, and then they will help you to produce like a very simple it's not very light, it's actually quite good design for you. And then for Microsoft Outlook, you can just ask about a lot of things, yeah. And then these generative AI applications take in a natural language input that means in a text input, and then return appropriate response in a variety of formats such as natural language, images, code, and more. For just now what I mentioned is if you ask about how to write a code, then they will give you like a full code on how to implement the topic that you want. If you nowadays, if I'm not I'm not sure if you've seen any videos in social media nowadays that they will ask ChatGPT for V vision, um please generate an image that represents Hari Raya, and then that represents nasi lemak, and then the ChatGPT will produce an image of nasi lemak, and then they will ask again like make it more variety, and then the ChatGPT will produce more variety of nasi lemak in one image. So that is one of the example of Gen AI where we ask and then they will create their own product. I mean they will create their own result based on the things that we ask. So the output from the Gen AI is natural language generation, image generation, and also the code generation. And then Gen AI use powered by the language models, which are specialized type of machine learning model that can be used to perform NLP tasks. The tasks that I mentioned just now about text analysis, summarization, and everything. So this is by determining sentiment or otherwise classifying natural language text, summarizing text, comparing multiple text sources for semantic similarity, generating new natural language. Transformer models are trained with large volumes of text. This is the one that I mentioned about the transformers before. They train by using a large volumes of data so that they enable to represent the semantic relationship between words and use those relationships to determine the sequence of the text that makes sense for us human. So transformer model architecture consists of two components. The first one is encoder and decoder. Encoder is the block that creates semantic representation of training vocabulary. This one is during the training process. Decoder is block that generates a new language sequences. This one is before the output result. So, transformer models with a large enough vocabulary, I mean, for example, us, whenever we want to learn a new language, we need to have a lot of vocabulary to learn before we can speak the language, right? For example, Arabic, you have a lot of vocabulary, you have a lot of words that you need to memorize. Um, Even Malay itself, we have a lot of vocabulary that we need to understand and memorize so that we capable to speak that language. We can talk in our daily life to speak with the local, to speak with the people that speak in that language. So, transformer models with large enough vocabulary capable of generating a language responses that are tough to distinguish from the human responses. That means it can generate like a very good result. And then the organizations and developers can train their own language models from scratch. We can create our own models, but most of the cases, even me myself, it's actually very more practical to use existing model and then fine tune the model with our own training data so that the the language model can learn a new thing and then we can have like a new language model specifically for our own task, specifically for our own project. So this one is very good if you want. It's very practical for you if you found any language model uh, from the website, and then you take that model and fine tune based on the requirement that you want instead of you create that from the scratch because it's very tough to create from the scratch. Some of the example that Microsoft and multiple partners use for the language models are OpenAI, Hugging Face, Mistral, Meta, and a lot of other resources lah. But mostly from my side, I will usually use Hugging Face. Hugging Face, yeah, because there's a lot of like a transformer models, llama models. Uh, there's have a lot of models and dataset that you can find from Hugging Face website. Then the few common of Azure OpenAI models are GPT 3.5, GPT-4, GPT-4 Vision for image, where it does have a different tasks. I mean different capabilities to do something and they different drawbacks. If you want to use GPT 3.5 for text, if you want to compare between GPT 3.5 and GPT-4, it will show that GPT 3.5 is much more stable than GPT-4 in speech to text uh, products. Yeah, that one is during my project, but I'm not sure nowadays whether it has already stable or not for GPT-4. But before this, it shows that GPT 3.5 is much more stable for speech to text tasks than GPT-4. Because during that time, GPT-4 just started to to produce from Microsoft. Yeah. And then these language models have two different types, which is large language models and small language models. Large language models are trained with vast quantities of text that represents a wide range of general subject matter, typically by sourcing data from the internet or other general available publications. But mostly they get the data set to train the large language models is from the compilation of the data that they found from the internet. For small language models are trained with a smaller and more subject-focused data sets. And then large language models, when we train the large language models, simplify as LLM, when we train the LLM, it has a many billions of parameters to adjust or to apply to calculate the predicted token sequences. Meanwhile, the small language models (SLM) has a fewer parameters than LLM. That's the reason why most of the LLM need to use GPU or TPU for you to train the model, because there has a lot of parameters that we want to fine tune, that um, we want to improve, we want to adjust, we want to change to get like a perfect, like it's not perfect lah, like a best parameters for that model. And then LLM able to exhibit comprehensive language generation capabilities in a wide range of conversational contexts, while SLM focus on the vocabulary makes them very effective in specific conversational topics, but less effective at more general language generation. So if you want to go for general, it will be preferable for you to choose LLM. But if you have like a very specific topics that you want to work on, it will be better for you to use SLM because it's much more easier and it's much more smaller than the LLM. Yep. And then the next one is Microsoft Copilot, the one that I mentioned just now, that it has in a this one you can use to answer questions, you can create content, you can search the web with the Microsoft Copilot. And then even when using the Bing search engine and in Edge browser, you can also use Microsoft Copilot to ask any question to get any information from the Microsoft Copilot. Yeah. All right. So I think that's all from my side. I do hope that you guys um are okay. Wait, I cannot see the chat.
Hey, thank you, Hidayah, for the session. There were no questions so far in the chat box, but somebody did ask for the slides, if it's okay to be shared,
Oh yeah,
with the attendees.
yeah, sure,
So,
sure. I can share it to you. Should I share it to you?
sure, sure. Uh, Also, if there is anybody who is having questions, this is your time to just post it in the chat box so that Hidayah can answer you. Okay.
Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions. As long as I can answer that, then I can directly give the answer to you. Or if you
I
guys want
see.
to share any experience using any AI services before. All right, yeah, Vincent, you can ask the question from the chat box. I mean, you can type the question.
Hey, Vincent, if you want to ask it, I have allowed you the mic access. Please turn on your mic and you can ask your question. Yes, I had just unmuted you right now. You should be able to turn on your mic. I think he's not in the meeting anymore. Okay, I think that's all the questions. We did take a 15 minutes more. I hope you guys were able to get something out of the session as well. And if there is any follow-up questions that comes up after, after a while you got a question, feel free to join the community and we'll be able to answer you. I'll just share our community link as well as the certificate form link to receive a certificate as well. Okay. And
All right.
again, thank you, Hidayah, for joining as well. I know there is a lot of preparation goes behind, the presentation and bringing all these things together on a presentation. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, we hope we can have another if it's possible. And again, thank you and thank you everyone for joining today with us. and I'll just share all those links in the community for Malaysia and our community where you can drop your questions if there is any, and and also I will share the presentation that Hidayah shares with me through email. So you have to be registered for the event. That's it, everyone, for the today's session, and we'll catch you in the next session, which is on 30th, and I can share the link to the chat box for that as well. Okay. Thank you, and good rest of the day.